All right, here's a horse I rode this morning for the first time. I had seen him ridden before, so I had a little bit of idea of what I was going to want to work on. Here I'm just got on him. I'm starting to walk some squares with him. After each corner, I am asking him for 1 inch of vertical flexion, trying to get him to where he turns a little straighter. I'm going to keep doing this until he starts to get a little bit sluggish, and then I'm going to ask him to trot. All right, I'm going to ask him to trot off. I think he might want to go a little fast, so I'm going to let him go. I'm using my body in a forward position. I have 3 positions I ride in. One is the encouraging position. That's the one I'm using here. One is the inhibiting position, when I sit back to try to get him to go slower. And then the third is the neutral. When I show a horse, I spend most of my time in the inhibiting position. I sit back. But when I'm training a horse, I try to position my body in such a way that it says to the horse, I like going fast more than you do. So I'm giving this horse the choice of trotting or loping. And there he chose to lope, and I'm just guiding him around. I'm continuing now to trot him and give him the choice of trotting or loping. Now he's decided to just trot, so now I'm going to point him at the fence, and I'm going to give him the choice of hitting the fence, jumping the fence, or stopping. And there he chose to stop, and then I asked him to walk off, and when I liked the way he was walking parallel with the fence, then I asked him to trot. Now he volunteered to lope, and I'm allowing him to do that. Now there, I asked him to trot and give me 1 inch of vertical flexion, and he did. And then I pointed him at the fence, and I allowed him again the choice of hitting the fence, jumping the fence, or stopping. I already knew what he was going to choose, or else I would not have given him the choice. There I trotted him off to the left, and I'm going to point him down the arena again. And again, I'm giving him the choice of trotting or loping. He chose to lope, and now I'm just sitting and pointing. And again, I'm going to point him at the fence and give him the choice, hitting the fence, jumping the fence, or stopping. He chose to break to a trot, so then I chose to turn him to the right, guide him down the arena again, and again I gave him the choice. So this horse is making the mistake of volunteering to lope. And I'm not telling him not to. I'm just sitting and pointing. I'm giving him some chance to get warmed up. So I teach a horse 2 things. Go when I tell you to, where I tell you to. And the first and most important of these is to go when I tell you to. But I can't tell him to go if he's already going. So until then, I'd mostly sit and point. There is a difference between sitting and riding. So here I'm riding this horse enough so that he doesn't walk. And now I'm just sitting and pointing. And I allowed him to choose to lope. And again, I'm sitting and pointing. Okay, so this horse has gotten more relaxed to where he's not volunteering to lope as much. Now I'm going to practice loping some squares with him. The reason I am doing this is I want to get this horse to where he guides more like a train and less like a minnow. This horse tends to duck and dive a lot. Makes it a little bit hard to ride him. I want to get him lined out to where he goes more like a train. You can see right there he tried to dive hard left when I reined him a little bit to the left. So I'm trying to get him to understand that after he turns, he's going to go straight. So he'll be straighter through his body and will guide around with less ducking and diving. So now I'm done loping squares. So now I'm going to point him straight, make him go straight, and allow him to quit when he chooses. When I like the way he's standing still, I'm going to take the slack out of both reins and hold his face until he gives me a little bit of vertical flexion. Now I am asking this horse for the right lead. He's already taken the left lead, so I want to check out his right lead. I asked him to lope off and he took the outside lead. So I pulled him back to a trot, and I let him try it again. I'm asking him by moving my left leg back and pushing. When pushing doesn't work, I'm kicking until he lopes off. He's having a little bit of trouble finding it at a trot, and so I'm going to try him at a walk. It's easier for a horse to catch the lead from a walk than it is from a trot, because they step into it in one step while their body is in position for the lead. Whereas at a trot, they will often just speed up and reposition their body. Now there I tried to ask him rolling back from the fence at 45 degrees. I did not ask him strong enough to lope off, and therefore he trotted a couple of steps. So rather than loping when I told him to, he trotted a couple of steps and then loped. And during those steps, he repositioned his body for the left lead. Now in that time, I asked him a little bit stronger. I asked him strong enough so that he loped off in one step, rather than repositioning his body before he loped off, and therefore he caught the lead. So now I'm able to work on some right squares. When a horse has trouble picking up the lead, it is not technically a lead problem. It is a problem of the horse not going when he is told to go. He is going after he is told to go, like my computer does. When I can get the horse to where he will go when I tell him to, like my wheelbarrow does, then he will catch the inside lead. Okay, I let this horse blow for a minute, and now I'm going to roll him back into the right lead some more. I'm going to let him up to the fence at 45 degrees, look right, lope right. If I ask him strong enough to lope in one step, then it's almost a sure thing that he will catch the inside lead. Once he's loping off nicely from the fence at 45 degrees, I'm going to work him on loping off from a position that is parallel to the fence. Now I'm going to let him go along parallel to the fence, right next to the fence. I'm going to give him the opportunity to stop. I don't care if he stops or not. I'm going to look right, pull right, lope right. So this would be the next more difficult lead departure after the lead departure from 45 degrees at the fence. Now the next most difficult lead departure is the same thing, but 1 yard from the fence from a backup. So when I do that, I let him back as slow as he wants to, turn as slow as he wants to, and I try to lope as early as possible. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but without the help of the fence. I'm going to back him up, turn him 180, and lope off. And again, I was able to get him to lope in one step, and therefore I was able to catch the right lead. That's all I'm going to do on lead departures on this horse today. Now I'm going to work trotting some small circles. I'm going to back him, work on his roll back, getting him to move those front feet. This horse has been drug around by his head some. So I'm trying to slow his head down so that he can turn foot first rather than head first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trot more than one circle and generally less than 2 circles, and then I'm going to give him the opportunity to quit. I don't care whether he chooses to quit or not. I'm going to tell him the word whoa, back him up a step, roll back to the outside, and make the same circle the other way. Now I generally trot more than one circle, less than 2 circles before I roll him back again. The first circle is for me so that I can see where this horse wants to lean in the most. The second time around, I'm ready. He'll lean in generally at the same place each time. So at the point where he leans in the most, I make him go straight, allow him the opportunity to quit, and then I tell him the word whoa, back him up a step, roll back to the outside, and move off on the new circle. This will get the horse to where he thinks about leaning in less because he'll be anticipating the go straight and roll back to the outside.
You know you're on the outside lead.